Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Missoula Broadcasting, locally owned and operated, as is Grizzly Disposal. Grizzly Disposal has construction roll-off boxes for your construction project. You want them? They got them. Get them to you within 24 hours. Call 541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Happy birthday to me. I made it 39. I think about this all the time, though.
How can Wayne Dalton Sales and Service offer you affordable and durable garage doors that increase the value of your home with factory pricing? Because Wayne Dalton Sales and Service is the factory, so you get direct factory pricing from the most reputable garage door company around. Right now, refer Wayne Dalton Sales and Service to a friend and receive $50 if they purchase a garage door. Call Wayne Dalton Sales and Service today, 406-510-1899, or visit wayne-dalton.com/Missoula.
Looking for a smarter and more efficient way to heat and cool your home? Gavlac Plumbing and Heating is Missoula's expert on ground source heat pumps. These systems pump into the Earth's steady underground temperature, cutting your electricity use by up to 70%. And even better, you may qualify for a 30% federal tax credit when you make the switch. Lower utility bills and reduce your carbon footprint. And enjoy reliable, low-maintenance effort. Call today for a free estimate. Gavlac Plumbing and Heating. That's Gavlak, Missoula's expert on ground source heat pumps.
Are you a sports fan who loves to win? Get in on the action with Sportsbet Montana. Bet on collegiate and professional baseball, football, hockey, basketball, and more, all while keeping the money right here in Montana. It's easy and secure on our kiosks and mobile app. Head to your favorite Sportsbet Montana retail location to catch the game, place your bets, and celebrate your wins. Sportsbet Montana. Learn more at sportsbetmontana.com.
Bees buzzing, flowers blooming, snow melting, and spring cleaning or updating? Liberty Electric is here for any and all of your electrical needs, no matter the season. Whether you're looking to upgrade your air conditioner for the summer, invest in a backup generator for those powerless nights due to storms, or need that lighting upgraded to LED, the professionals at Liberty Electric are ready to offer their services. Call 406-541-WIRE. That's 406-541-9473.
Canyon River is peerless around the state of Montana. Come to the premier public golf course in the Treasure State to experience greens unlike any other you will find around Montana. The attention to detail, the level of consistency, and the challenge will make you never want to play anywhere else. Canyon River takes great pride in upholding the most tried and true tenet in golf. If the greens are rolling and the service is incomparable, you'll never want to leave. Come enjoy peerless conditions at Canyon River Golf Club in East Missoula.
Nothing makes Montana moms happier than Mother's Day at the Montana Club. With the club's Mother's Day brunch from 9 to 2, featuring delicate crepes, savory benedicts, scrambles, crispy chicken and waffles, slow-cooked prime rib, and their heavenly caramel roll with huckleberry cream cheese topping. Dinner specials including steak and lobster start at 3. So we'll see you at the Montana Club this Mother's Day. The Mom-Tana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Taco Dowler and Hannah Halverson are the Little Sullivan Award winners in Montana. I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana AAU chapter gives out its Little Sullivan Awards annually, honoring the best amateur athletes in the state. On Saturday, Dowler, a senior wide receiver from Montana State who grew up in Billings, and Halverson, a wrestler at Colorado Mesa from Kalispell, join the prestigious list of winners. Former Little Sullivan Award winners include future NBA players like Josh Eustace and Larry Kostoviak, and future NFL players like Croy Bierman and Troy Anderson on the men's side, along with famed women like Shannon Kate, Mandy Morales, and Jocelyn Tinkle. Dowler was a second-team All-Big Sky pick last season and saved his best for MSU's season finale in the national title game. Dowler caught 8 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for a 25-yard score. His touchdown catch in overtime helped clinch a 35-34 win over Illinois State to give MSU its first football national title in 41 years. Dowler earned the award over Montana State rodeo rodeo cowboy Cole Denton of Great Falls, Olympic skier Connor Ralph of Helena, and Olympic gold medalist Jake Sanderson, a hockey player from Whitefish. Halverson was a prep state champion at Flathead, and this past season was honored as an NCAA Women's Scholar All-American for the 4th straight year.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
If you ever wondered if we're live, we definitely are. What's up, everybody? Welcome in or welcome back. I don't know if you heard the first, 43 seconds of Nuanez Now, but here we are. We have a little thing going on here, but it's all good. Guys in the back got it dialed, and we're rolling with you all the way until 6 p.m. I'm Colter Nuanez, coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. I am coming to you from the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Appreciate you for tuning in. First and foremost, here's where we're at. It's my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Made it to 39. Here I am. It's the last birthday I'll celebrate. I've actually had a hard time keeping track of how old I am for the last, 3 to 4 years. And now, I don't even need to remember. No, I'm just kidding. I actually am not like that. I actually, this is actually sort of probably sad, but I've experienced a lot of death in my life. My father died when I was in my mid-20s, and so I certainly appreciate every birthday that comes around. And I have no gripes with getting older whatsoever. I just appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. So happy birthday to me, and that also means happy birthday to all you guys, because guess what? We got tickets to the biggest show in Montana all throughout this here show. We have 5 pairs, that's 10 total tickets to Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean. It's coming at you on August 1st, Washington Grizzly Stadium. And all I need you to do is text me, what do you want us to talk about for the next couple of months? Anything, everything, questions, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. What do you want Nuanez Now to be talking about? You got questions about the Grizz, you got questions about the Cats, you got questions about high school sports, any and everything that you want us to talk about, let us know. And that'll get you entered in to win a pair of tickets to Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean. If you're unfamiliar with these guys, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to opine too much because this is a huge deal. These guys are coming to town. I'm not a huge Luke Bryan fan myself, but I love Jason Aldean. I've seen Jason Aldean in concert multiple times. I will be attending this concert. It's a phenomenal event in Missoula, and I think it's going to be a huge, huge, huge draw. And I think this could be one of the hottest tickets. I mean, I know that Post Malone and Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan, that's the hottest tickets of the summer. So that's all you need to do. Just text us and say, here's what we want you to talk about, and I want to go to the concert. We're going to prompt you each and every segment here on Nuanez Now. So keep those texts coming in. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. You want Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean tickets? We got them for you. I'm doing it on my birthday as my gift to you. 406-888-1029. Let us know what you want us to talk about. You can always stream us, 1029ESPN.com. You can also always use the ESPN MT app. And YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Appreciate you for being here. We're going to lead the show with Sam Herder, Hero Sports, talking some off-season FCS subjects. We're also going to talk some NBA today. We're also going to have our latest Treasure State stars. We also have the renewal of a fun segment, but the debut when it comes to the two guys that are sitting behind the glass. Andrew Houghton and I used to play behind the glass often when Andrew was the producer of this show. He would prepare some questions for me. We'd have some discussions. Good times. Hayden Smith, Jeff Safford. They'll do the same thing for you here coming up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And then about 5:30, we got one of Montana's top recruits, Dax Yeager. He's a Shoto, Montana product. Actually, a senior to be there at Shoto High School. 6'5", 240-pound. I don't know what to call him. Could be a tight end, could be a DN, could be a D tackle. I always project those guys as being offensive or defensive linemen. That's probably partially realism and also partially like what's the easiest to do, right? One of my good buddies, Ty Hobbs, he played for the Grizz, and he always tells a story. This is in the late 2000s about how Ty Gregorak, another great friend of the show, another good friend of mine, who was the former linebackers coach / defensive coordinator at the University of Montana, how Gregorak came up to Hobbs and he said, Hobbs, you either need to get bigger, stronger, or faster. and Hobbs was like, well, I think it's a lot easier to get bigger and stronger than it is to get faster. That's where I'm kind of at with prospects like Dax Yeager, but either way, it's a good get for the Bobcats. He'll join us, tell us about his small-town journey to the Division I rank. So that's coming up about 5:30 as well. One note, we'll hash this out a little bit more later on this week, but the MCLA National Lacrosse Tournament is going on in Richmond, Virginia, and both Montana teams actually suffered surprising upsets in the first round. The seedings are a little bit arbitrary when it comes to the Division II of the MCLA because largely it's like the same 15 to 20 teams are in the mix. And like, how do you sort them out in terms of who played who and who played what? I mean, we talk about Grizz Lacrosse, Bobcat Lacrosse a little bit on the show. And these guys are road warriors. They're going all over the country. So, or they're going all over the region, I should say. And so, like, how do you gauge their record based on their strength of schedule? Regardless, the Grizz were the 7 seed and Rhode Island was the 10 seed. The Grizz lost a narrow one to Rhode Island on Monday. And then the Bobcats also got upset. The Bobcats were the 6 seed. So Montana State were 6-7, both slightly favored in their matchups. But the Cats also lost to UC San Diego, who's the 11 seed, which I think it's indicative of, first of all, how if you're at a neutral site tournament like that, how it's anybody's game. Also, everybody is really, really good when you get to that point. And also how, and I think the guys behind the glass, I mean, Hayden was a Grizz Lacrosse player. I think they would agree that lacrosse is very much like hockey, where the element of chance comes into it. I'm not making excuses for the Montana teams, but I just think like when you get into a round of 16 tournament, I just think that maybe the 1, 2, and maybe 3 seeds are going to be dominant, and that's probably because of their goalkeeping and or their face-off guy and or because of a striker that they might have. But other than that, it's like totally a coin flip, right? Who does what? Who beats who? And I think that's why you see these games that are like 14-11, 12-9, like really, really close games. So either way, college lacrosse season for the state of Montana is in the books. We'll hash that out a little bit later on here this week on Nuanez Now. Do we got a thumbs up? Do we have our guy Sam Herder joining us here on the ESPN MT phone line? Sam, sorry for the delay, but we appreciate you for hanging out. What's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Always good to be back on the show, and appreciate you having me back on.
Of course, man. Happy to have you, as always. So we got to touch first and foremost on the subject that has been a little bit of the scuttle around the FCS world here for the last 2 weeks, ever since the NFL draft. First of all, you at Hero Sports do a phenomenal job of tracking all the guys that are first getting drafted. That was not that big of a task this year because only 4 guys out of the FCS got drafted. But then all the undrafted free agents and the rookie minicamp invites. So I really appreciate you for doing all that. Thank you from all of us here at ESPN and Skyline Sports because we follow all that stuff fervently. I obviously have a beat on some of the big Sky guys, but you help fill in the blanks for all the rest of the FCS. But only 4 guys drafted out of the FCS, and that was the second lowest amount over the last 16, 17 years. The only other low water mark was in 2015 when there's only one guy drafted. I'll just leave it open-ended. What do you make of sort of the challenges of FCS players getting drafted in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's a few factors. The main one is the transfer portal and the unlimited, transfers that you can have. You pretty much, there are no restrictions on how often you could transfer, and so that hurts as far as the FCS and the Group of Six of guys continuing to trickle up to the Power Four. NIL is kind of part of that as well. Just the money is so great, and FCS schools can do what they want, and there actually are a decent amount of FCS schools that are revenue sharing, but a lot of them can't match, some of the high dollar offers that some of these players are getting from the Power Four level. So I think those are two of the bigger factors as far as the low number of FCS draft picks. I also think the NFL is they're taking less risks on day three because there is so much depth of talent at the Power Four level. I think there was an All-American safety from Texas who was drafted at some point in the 5th round. It's like, right. That guy's going in the 5th round. How's an all Big Sky, linebacker supposed to get drafted? So I just think the NFL is also taking less risks. They're not reaching as much for some guys. In the past, there would always be 2 or 3 FCS guys that weren't necessarily on the radar, but they tested out of their mind at the combine or the pro day, and the NFL took a chance on them in the 6th or 7th round. Now a lot of those guys are falling to UDFAs. And there still are, a good amount of undrafted free agents coming out of the FCS. There was close to 40 UDFAs this year. So that number is still strong, but just the number of draft picks has been dropping. And it's not just an FCS problem as well. The Group of Six had a really, really low number
totally
as well. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering the numbers, the Group of Six had less draft picks this year compared to the FCS last year. And so it just seems like a lot of the talents, not all the talent, but a lot of the top talents is trickling upwards toward the Power Four.
Well, here's your official numbers. 257 players were drafted. Only 16 of them were from non-Power Four conferences. That's pretty stunning, right? And it was also the least number of schools represented in an open draft. They say the open draft since 1970. So you're talking, 50 plus years, almost 60 years in terms of the least amount of schools represented. So, where are you at, Sam, with your concern about that? Is this a concerning thing for the FCS, or is this just sort of the state of affairs in Division I college football?
Yeah, I don't think it's a concern. It's certainly not ideal. Any conference or subdivision, whether you're the Big Sky or the Mountain West or the MAC or the Missouri Valley Football Conference, it's always the time of year where you like to kind of, beat your chest a little bit and said, yeah, we sent, X amount of guys to the NFL draft. And so you would like to have a high number of draft picks, but with that number lowering, I don't know if it's a concern. Again, it's not ideal, but I also think it's just kind of reality, at this point. And even, within the Power Four, I heard, or I saw some, online conversation among the Power Four fans about, what is the Big 12 and the ACC? Are they concerned about their low number of draft picks compared to the Big 10 and the SEC? So I think it's more of just kind of a reality sort of thing when it comes to the FCS and even, the Group of Five of having this lower number of draft picks. So it kind of just is what it is. There are, a good amount of guys that started their career in the FCS that ended up getting drafted. Jack Kelly, he started at Weber State. There was a Southeastern Louisiana tight end. There was an Indiana State, offensive lineman, that ended up going to the Power Four. So there still is a lot of talent trickling into the FCS. It's just obviously the difficult part is hanging on to some of that top talent.
Well, how real do you think that narrative is? So I think that's the low-hanging fruit, right? People want to believe, half the reason that the FCS isn't getting players drafted out of it is because the best players move on, move up, move to the FBS, move to the Power Five. How true is that? What examples do we have? I mean, you just mentioned 2 of them, but how prevalent is it, and is that the only explanation for this?
Yeah, it's not a huge number, honestly, as far as FCS to FBS guys that have gotten drafted. Now there's no official way to count like who counts as an FCS draft pick. There are some people that think, if you spent any years in the FBS at all to finish your career, you shouldn't count at all. There are others who think, like a guy like Jack Kelly, who played 2 or 3 years at Weber State and then played his final 2 years at BYU. There are some people that think he should still count as an FCS draft pick. So it kind of goes both ways as far as what people feel. How I count FCS to FBS transfers that still do count as NFL draft picks are guys who played multiple years in the FCS, and then they play their final year in the FBS. And kind of the perfect example is Evan Bierenston. He played 4 years at South Dakota State. He graduated, and then he took his grad transfer year at Northwestern, ended up getting drafted. I think the FCS should be able to claim that guy, and there was 3 of those guys this year. As far as guys who played multiple years in the FBS to finish their career, again, Jack Kelly, is kind of a Big Sky example of that. There were like 8 or 9 of those guys, and so like it's not a huge number yet. Had those guys stayed in the FCS, the number would have at least doubled as far as the number of draft picks. And so it is a good amount of guys, but it isn't like there's like a ton of FCS guys that go to the FBS and then get drafted. Compared to the group of 5, I think it was like 40-something players that got drafted that were once in the group of 5 and ended up at the Power 4 level. So it's not a huge number from the FCS, but it is still a significant number when we're talking about this low number of draft picks from the subdivision.
Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You can find all his good work at herosports.com. They have a great sort of database of tables that say all the different guys that have FCS ties that made it on to the NFL. So I guess one last question on the past and then one about the future. But I agree, the guys that are at a place like the kid you mentioned that transferred to Northwestern. He graduated and then grad transferred to Northwestern. He's probably doing that for dual reasons, right? Academics and athletics. Like Teddy Buchanan from UC Davis, I think that was another one a couple of years ago. He's got his Davis degree. And Tim Plow talked openly about that, right? UC Davis head coach. He said, hey, here's the deal. This kid's a stud. We know he's a stud. We've built him into what he can become. For us, but also like he's going to graduate and we're going to send him to Cal, and that's going to give him an elevated opportunity to go on and move up. And there he was. He's drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. He's still on the active roster. Do you feel like this is the necessary path for FCS guys? And what do you think the timeline is? Like, is the grad transfer the most effective way for FCS guys to do this, or if their transcendent talent is moving up sooner, better? Because I think there's a juxtaposition here, right? On one hand, obviously getting film against better competition, playing against big-time players, playing in big-time games, playing in the Power 4, all that stuff. It's going to inherently help you, but first and foremost, you have to play. Like, you have to be able to be on the field. So, like, just weigh the risk-reward here. Like, is this the path that's going to become commonplace? Or are we going to see – I just think that we've seen some guys that maybe have said, well, I don't know if I want to go that route because I maybe won't be as productive or as much of a standout. Where are you at with that, and how much does the position you play matter in that part of the equation?
Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely, it can be high risk, high reward. There are certainly a lot of examples of guys that have gone from the FCS to the FBS that have very much improved their draft stock because they dominated at the FBS level. I can't remember his name. There was a UAlbany defensive end that ended up highly drafted. Then you have kind of the more obvious examples of like Shadir Sanders or like a Cam Ward, guys that went on to the FBS, played really well, and that certainly increased their draft stock. But I feel like a lot of guys, they probably would have been drafted anyways had they stayed where they're at. Now the counter to that is, you can make a lot more money, playing college football. And
sure.
For a lot of these guys, the most money they're going to make playing football is in college. And
no doubt.
I think an example of this is Mark Gronowski, where after the 2024 season, he had already made it known that was going to be his last year at South Dakota State because he had graduated, and he said, hey, I'm going to either enter the transfer portal or I'm going to enter the NFL draft. And after the 24 season, Gronowski had an NFL Combine invite. He enters the transfer portal just to see what offers are out there, and he ends up at Iowa, somewhere between $1.5 to $2 million NIL. Has an okay season. He played against top competition, didn't light it up or anything. And then after the 25 season, he does not get an NFL Combine invite, and he ends up not getting drafted. So did Gronowski hurt his stock by going to Iowa and not performing super well? Maybe, but you could counter that by saying, well, even if he entered the draft after the 24 season, he gets picked in the 6th round, maybe he doesn't make a team, and then, he ends up not making an NFL roster. Well, then, he hasn't made a whole lot of money. Well, now at least he's $2 million richer, and he still has a shot in the NFL as a UDFA. So I think for a lot of guys, moving up to the FBS might not increase their draft stock, but it's at least going to increase their, their bank accounts, especially if they're a grad transfer. You kind of did what you could do at your old school. You graduated. Why not bank on your football talents at the Power 4 level? Get a new experience playing against top competition, and if you perform well, you'll get drafted.
It's such an interesting deal because you're right. There's this reality in which the maximum amount of money you might make as a football player might be in a 1 to 2 year span in college. So, yep. Do you feel like this is a totally open-ended question, but I'm so interested in like how many of these guys think about that kind of stuff. Like, are they weighing what they can do in the here and now? Are they weighing like this being a one-time earning opportunity? I just don't have a gauge on that. I think that there's just a variety of different options here, right? There's guys that could go for the money. I just feel like the guys that are going and moving up and chasing money also probably think that there's money in the far future, not just the immediate future, right? I just don't know how many guys have the actual perception and the actual like self-awareness to understand like this might be your only chance to make money. Like, what do you think of just that dynamic and maybe how it affects the FCS? Because I do think there's some guys specifically like at Montana State that have stayed and not chased the money because of a lot of other reasons. But I think about this all the time. I go back and forth with this. I love that they stayed. It's good for the FCS. It's good for the state of Montana. It's good for the Big Sky Conference. It's good for this radio show. But like, if you're turning down 7 figures from a Power 4, are you missing the boat? Like, what do you just think of that overall dynamic?
Yeah, I think, the one narrative that I certainly push back on is, and I tweeted about it too during the NFL draft weekend, because there are some tweets out there, saying, well, all the top FCS guys, they just move up. And I'm like, well, you can't characterize it that way, because just look at the top teams in the FCS this year, this offseason.
It's literally not true, right? Like, it's literally not true. Most of the best guys did not move up.
Yeah, all of their top guys stayed. And I bet if you tallied up all the NIL deals and revenue sharing deals that they turned down, it's between just those 3 teams, I bet it's over at least $10 million.
No question.
When you factor in, there's probably 4 to 5 guys on each team that turned down significant money. But I think it's case by case. There could be guys that they have an opportunity to move closer to home. They realize they probably don't have an NFL career ahead of them, and they just want to cash, kind of not cash in. Now that's not a good way to phrase it, but kind of just take advantage of an offer that they have sitting in front of them, and move on and take a really high offer. There are other guys that maybe their families aren't as well off, or maybe their dad is sick and they have hospital bills that they need to take care of, and they go, I don't want to leave my team, but there's this huge offer out there for me. I got to take it to take care of my family. And then there are other guys who, like, maybe their parents are wealthy. Maybe they're going to maybe they're majoring in something that's going to pay super well, like in pharmacy or, business, something like that. And there could be 5 Power 4 offers coming their way saying, we got $1 million for you. And they might just go, yeah, I don't really need that. And I'm going to be just fine. My family's going to be just fine. I'd rather have a better experience rather than going to a place where I have to pick up the playbook and, have new teammates and all of that. And there might be other guys, like you mentioned, that, play the long game where, they probably realize they're probably not going to have, a professional college football career. They don't really know what they want to do post-college. But, hey, if you stay in that town or that region and you go down as one of the best football players in whatever school's history, you're going to be set up pretty well because there'll be, a car dealership or a business or, a bank. Someone will take you in because you stuck around. So there is that long-term, financial planning as well. There's that part of it as well.
Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Check out HeroSports.com for all the coverage of FCS to the NFL and all sorts of other great FCS coverage. Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean coming to Missoula, Montana on August 1st. You want tickets? All you got to do is tell us what you want us to talk about over the next couple of months. Give us subject matter. Be the producer of this show. 406-888-1029. Questions, comments, subject matters, hot topics, whatever. 406-888-1029. That's going to get you entered in. Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean at Washington Grizzly Stadium on August 1st. Text us right now and let us know, first of all, that you want to go, but also what you want us to talk about. Okay, the Gronowski deal, though, right? Gronowski was pretty open about not sort of the timeline of his South Dakota State career. And then he went to Iowa. You sort of mentioned it, but what's the cost-benefit analysis of what Mark Gronowski did? Was he flawed in going to a place that has been sort of offensively stagnant for the last however many years under Kurt Ferenz, or was that a good move, or where are you at just with what Gronowski did? And also, I guess the main question: were you surprised he didn't get drafted?
I wasn't too surprised that he didn't get picked. One of the services that I use is called Draft Scout, and they had Gronowski projected to be selected in the 6th round, but it was one of the rare draft services that had Gronowski as a draft pick. I think most kind of viewed him as a UDFA, which he ended up being. Again, did he hurt his NFL draft stock by going to Iowa? I mean, I don't know if he did or not. You could make that argument because, again, he had that combine invite after the 24 season, and then after the 25 season, he no longer had that NFL combine invite. And so, he was really good at South Dakota State, showed a good arm, showed great athleticism. He was also going up against less competition, obviously, in the Big Ten, and had, really good talent around him, and that made NFL teams really excited. And then they saw what he did, at Iowa, where he was a bit more limited, but it was also, a system that, doesn't really allow quarterbacks to air it out. And I don't think I watched any Iowa games, but just listening to some South Dakota State media and fans, they were frustrated that Gronowski didn't really get a chance to utilize his full skill sets, because it was, run, set up the pass, run, set up the pass. Well, it's 3rd and 9, let's just, do a safe out route that isn't going to get to the stick. So, I feel like maybe it did hurt his overall, how the NFL viewed him. But again, when he had, that reported NIL deal worth between $1.5 to $2 million, I think it's hard to say that he made a mistake going there.
So here's something that Samuel Akem and I hashed out last week, and that is that there's certainly all these different circumstances that go into this. Guys that can and will transfer up, guys that do transfer up. The fact of the matter is, though, I actually think that the real consensus here is that there will be diamonds in the rough every once in a while at the FCS level. Guys that either were missed on or then they can develop at a high level and then go on and go up, like a Braden Zimmer at Montana State, for example. A guy that's just like out of Billings, Montana, partial scholarship kid, 230 pounds as a high school guy, and all of a sudden he's 290, and he gets developed, and then he moves up, gets 7-figure paycheck for a couple of years. Maybe goes to the NFL, maybe he doesn't, but either way, he's kind of fast-tracked to the Power 5. But I think that those guys are becoming more and more rare. And I also think that recruiting has become so sophisticated from high school to college to the NFL, all these evaluations. it's never going to be an exact science, but I think it's gotten as honed in as it probably. Now maybe it's not as it's going to get, but like it's gotten honed in significantly more than it has been over the last 20 years. So I actually wonder if the thesis here, Sam, is that I know people always want to blame something. They always want to blame something. And the blame is that, okay, the best prospects are getting picked off by the FBS. I just wonder if it's actually way, way harder to ever get guys that have NFL potential at the FCS level. And I wonder now that North Dakota State is moving on to the FBS, if that becomes even more true. So what do you think of that dynamic? Like, is it harder to get, like, is the talent level just inherently not quite as good at the FCS as it has been, especially when it comes to the upper potential of that talent?
Yeah, I think when it comes to that top tier level talent, those diamonds in the rough that just are under recruited and then they develop in the FCS and they stick in the FCS throughout their career, I definitely think that is getting tougher to do, especially, you know, when you go to more rural areas. There's so many success stories, out of the Dakotas, North Dakota and South Dakota, of, you know, these 9-man football players that end up being NFL draft picks. It seems like the Power Fours are going more into those rural areas to recruit offensive linemen. So in that sense, it does get more difficult as far as kind of having these hidden gems coming out of high school. At the same time, though, I've heard FCS coaches from all corners of the country say that the level of talent coming out of high school into the FCS has never been better, because there are less FBS scholarship offers out there to high school players, because, well, they're plucking from, the FCS, or maybe they're plucking from D2, or, they're just plucking each other to kind of, okay, we need to add a few more linebackers. Instead of adding 3 freshmen, maybe it's 1 freshman linebacker and, 2 transfer linebackers. Now, all of a sudden, guys that would end up, at Utah, maybe now they're ending up at Weber State, or guys that would end up at Boise State, now they're ending up at Montana State. So I feel like the overall depth of talent coming into the FCS is still really strong, but it's like that top tier, surefire first round, second round, third round guy that is continuing to get more rare in the FCS. And if there is that guy in the FCS, he's a lot of the times going to end up at the FBS by the end of his career.
I think about it all the time when I think about some of the most transcendent talents that we've covered in the Big Sky. Guys like Troy Anderson at Montana State, guys like Samson Ebukam at Cooper Kupp at Eastern Washington. It's you're right. It's going to be harder and harder. But I also circle back to the fact that when you talk about the premier FCS programs, now, like North Dakota State was always sort of an anomaly, because NDSU has always had unbelievable talent, but their actual in-state talent wasn't as profound as Montana State, and South Dakota State. They all have great in-state players. North Dakota State certainly had guys that either wanted to be Bison for a long time and became Bison, or bought into being Bison once they got there. They bought into the culture and all that. But NDSU now on their way up, on their way out. But now South Dakota State, Montana still remain as sort of the anchors of the FCS, and they do have a lot of quote-unquote local kids from either the state or the area. And we've seen that particularly in Montana, where guys like Justin Lamson, like Taco Dowler, they choose to stay because of the opportunity to build legacy, the opportunity to do something that resonates for generations within the state. Do you feel like that's a stronghold that the FCS has?
Yeah, I think so, especially with a lot of these programs, again, in more rural areas, or, they're just not as surrounded by by FBS schools. That's why I think a program like Idaho has, a lot of potential. And Jason Eck saw that potential when he took that job of being in the area where you can recruit to, because you're not, just oversaturated with FBS schools. And when you walk around town and you go to, the local Target or the grocery store, or, the bar or restaurant, like, people want to talk to you, if you're a Grizz or a Cats, or, Jackrabbits, Yotes, whatever. And you kind of feel like you're a part of something, and you feel like a big deal when you walk around town, compared to some other FCS schools where, you can walk around public all day and there might be people who don't care if you play for a team in the South or Southeast, just because they might live in your town, but they cheer for the FBS team that's an hour away. So I do think that is something that these Dakota schools, the Montana schools, and Idaho schools as well, that is something they have going for them. Is they're treated not only as the FBS teams, but they're also treated as an NFL team, and the level of support I think sometimes can really help with guys staying on their current teams.
Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television and the ESPN MT app. I know you have a lot of off-season projects going on. What have you dove into so far that has maybe caused you to have any sort of realizations, revelations? I know you've been starting to do your top 30 countdown of players at certain positions. And I know you started to do your team previews too. Anything fun or interesting that you've learned so far?
Yeah, I think the top heaviness of the FCS isn't going to change. Certainly with NDSU moving up, there is that, kind of a huge crater, in the FCS for someone to take over. But what I'm most interested in seeing is it going to be, it used to be, we'll say 4 teams versus everyone else, where you had the 2 Montana schools, NDSU and South Dakota State. Is it going to be now just 3 teams versus everyone else, or is someone else going to step into that spot that NDSU left behind? But I do feel like Montana State, certainly is the heavy favorite with the Grizz and the Jackrabbits, the top challengers to the Cats. But just looking at some of the returning talents on these teams, I feel like the depth of the Tier 2 in the FCS is going to be really, really strong. Now, I don't think any of these teams will necessarily challenge at the top, but it could make for some really fun second round and quarterfinal games where you look at teams from, Illinois State and Rhode Island, Tarleton State. I think UND is on the rise. I think UC Davis is going to be really, really good, which if they can find a quarterback, which they usually do, you look at Youngstown State and Southern Illinois and Austin Peay, they're bringing back star quarterbacks. South Dakota, they lose quite a bit, but they've always, kind of been able to reload. You look at SFA and Abilene Christian, they're, routinely competitive teams. I think, I don't know if I mentioned Villanova, but they're usually, making deep playoff runs as well. So I don't think the list of title contenders is going to be very big. It might just be one team deep, with Montana State versus everyone else. But the second tier in the FCS, I do feel like is on the come up, and there's some really good teams that, again, aren't probably good enough to win a national title, but they can be really dangerous teams when they get to the quarterfinals.
Man, I think about this so much. It's almost as if the FCS would be a better subdivision if it didn't have its handful or less than a handful of powers that be. Just in terms of the chaotic nature of it, right? Like I just feel like a 24-team FCS playoffs, if it didn't involve the Montana schools and the Dakota State schools, that could be crazy. But also then, I hate to say this because I hate that this is a part of small school college sports, but what's the revenue generation potential of a subdivision like that? Where does a subdivision like that tread water or gain weight or any of that? I don't know. But I do think it would be a fun thought experiment to consider, and I think it could be a reality potentially in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what would an FCS playoff look like if it didn't have these 3 or 4 or 5 dominant contenders?
Yeah, I think there would be pros and cons with that for sure. But if I was the commissioner of the FCS, where like my whole thing is looking out and worrying and stressing about the well-being of the FCS and making sure it's as healthy as possible. From my perspective, if I was the FCS commissioner, like I wouldn't be worried or stressed at all about NDSU leaving. Nope, I'm fine with that. Like it's going to open up more storylines, more excitement, more overall engagement in the FCS because someone's going to take that spot of NDSU. And the more NDSU won, the more people got tired of the Bison, and the more the Bison got tired of the FCS. So, as we've talked about too, like they were just playing a totally different level of football. It's not just the tradition, it's
all the different resources they had. It's everything, right? Like it was not necessarily even an even playing field. Even if the advantage was only slight, they had so many slight advantages that became a maximum advantage.
Yep. Yeah, and so like if I'm the FCS commissioner, I'm not worried about NDSU leaving. Now, if Montana State, Montana, and South Dakota State leave, then I am worried because then, the level of overall engagement goes down. Those cool home field advantages goes down. The travel to the national championship goes down. The value of the FCS playoffs goes down if those, 3 other FCS powers leave. Now, I guess the good thing about the FCS is, like, it's pretty self-sustaining because you have the NCAA supporting, the 2014 bracket. It's not like the Pac-12 where, your top 2 to 4 brands leave and everything else just collapses. Like the FCS could lose its top 25 teams tomorrow, and there would still be a 2026, 27, 28 playoffs. It would just be significantly weekends. So from an FCS commissioner perspective, I would be worried about those 3 other powers leaving. Now, from like my own personal perspective, a media perspective, like put NDSU and Montana State, South Dakota State in the same playoff system as James Madison and Boise State and South Florida, and then that would be very fun to cover. And then leave the FCS playoffs where Illinois State and Rhode Island and Tarleton State and Youngstown State and UND and Idaho and UC Davis, they're battling out for an FCS championship. I think that would be perhaps even more entertaining than what we have now, where it's the same matchups year in and year out, deep in the playoff brackets. But certainly, while there would be more parity, it would weaken in strength, and also you'd be concerned about just kind of the overall level of engagement from those fan bases and how they travel to the national championship game. But there would be certainly pros and cons, like I just mentioned about if there ever is that day where these remaining FCS powers move up to whatever the next subdivision would be.
Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us here on Nuanez Now. Okay, last thing. You've written a lot lately. I've been keeping up with all of it. What do you think is the most interesting thing that people can go read on Hero Sports, or what's something that people need to go click on to sort of analyze their FCS lives here as we are in the first week of May?
Yeah, I think big picture-wise, I can't remember when I published it, but sometimes I update the published date on it just so it gets refreshed. But every year I do a conference affiliation changes in the FCS, so that tracks all the FCS to FCS movement and the FCS to FBS movement and some teams coming up, into the FCS, like West Florida. I think it's a pretty exciting addition to the FCS. So I think that is one where if you just kind of, you're kind of starting to think ahead to the FCS football season and what's coming, what's changing. I think that is one to keep an eye on. But then the more fresh content is top returning players in the FCS. And, today I just published top returning FCS linebackers. And, again, I mentioned earlier about I hate when people say that, all the talent just trickles up to the FBS, because that's not true at all, like we mentioned. And the perfect example is my top 30 returning FCS linebackers in 2026 article, where I did a top 30 returners, and there was still between 25 and 30 all-conference players who didn't even make the list. So that just kind of goes to show that there still is some really good talents coming back, a lot of all-conference guys coming back, a lot of guys that have great production in their FCS career. So that's kind of what I'm working on now with some team previews and top returning players.
Well, it's now 129 ESPN Radio. Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us. Sam, good talking to you, man. We'll catch up soon, but thanks for being here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you as always.
Well, we're a little bit off kilter here in terms of our timing. I am not good at following the clock. Just ask Tommy. Tommy will be back soon. He's on paternity leave. We told you. Congratulations to Tommy. But I don't even know where we're at in terms of which segment we're on. But we're going to finish up the first hour. I know that on the other side. So don't change that dial. Keep it right here. Plenty of more fun sports talk radio coming your way. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is land. Our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
One of my favorite songs ever. A little talking heads for you here on Cinco de Mayo. Happy holidays, everybody, if you celebrate. It's my birthday. It is. I think about this all the time. You have a variety of different birthdays. My younger nephew, my brother's younger son, his poor birthday is on December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. Like, we do our best, but that's a tough birthday, right? One of my brother's older son, though, his birthday's on Labor Day. It's on September 4th. That's a great birthday, right? Last week in the summer, people are always wanting to hang out, celebrate. I'm telling you, I think Cinco de Mayo is one of the great birthdays you could ever have because it's a holiday, but it's like only I'm not going to say it's not a major holiday, but it's like a holiday that everybody wants to have fun on. So it's very easy. Like it's sort of either the height of spring or like the tease of summer, but also it's like, what are we going to do? You know, like today, it doesn't matter what day of week it is. We're going to have some sort of Mexican food, probably tacos. Tonight we're having carne asada. You know, you drink a margarita, you have some fun. Like it's an easy day to get people to want to hang out with you for sure. So I've always felt blessed that this is my birthday. I also feel blessed to have this radio show, so I appreciate everybody for hanging out. You want Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan tickets, text us, 406-888-1029. All you got to do is let us know what you want us to talk about. Keep them coming in. We've had quite a few already, but keep those texts coming in because it's beneficial to us and it's also beneficial to you, 406-888-1029. You want to go to Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan at Washington Grizzly Stadium on August 1st. We got tickets for you. Time for a Treasure State Stars, probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Treasure State Star number 1, Anna Cockhill. She hit 3 home runs against Weber State to lead the Grizz to, this is softball, at the Grizz at the Big Sky Conference softball championships in Pocatello, Idaho. She smacked 3 home runs to lead the Grizz to an 8-3 victory over Weber State. They then ran into a buzzsaw against Idaho State in the second game. They lost 10-1, but Montana bounced back this morning with a 9-3 win over Portland State in a loser-out game. Cockhill had 2 more hits in that one, so she continued her first-team All-Big Sky type of year. JoJo Christensen also hit a home run. Grace Lopez hit a home run. And the Grizz keep their season alive. So they take on Northern Colorado tomorrow at noon in Pocatello. That is also a loser-out game. But I would say this, 2 wins at the conference tournament is a huge stride forward for the Grizz softball team. Steph Ewing in year 2 as the head coach, doing a tremendous job. Treasure State star number 2, Sydney Brewster. It's fun this time of year when we get these track athletes that are basically on the Treasure State Stars every single week. We used to tease about this with Duncan Hamilton, who was the phenomenal distance runner for Montana State. We should have named the Treasure State Stars after him, like in April and May. He's just on there every week for however long the outdoor season lasts. That's Sydney Brewster. She's a shot put thrower at Montana State and also a discus thrower. She has won the Big Sky Conference Outdoor Field Athlete of the Week on the women's side every week but one so far this outdoor season. This week, she wins her 4th weekly award because of the discus, when she set a Montana State school record in the disc. So she's been unbelievable in the multiple events. Treasure State star number 3, Lily Meskers. She is a senior for the Grizz track program. She's been an unbelievable steward of the program, an unbelievable academic achiever. She's won the Presidential Award 3 times in 4 years. That goes to the top female athlete in terms of GPA in the entire athletic department. So she's been the top female student athlete 3 years in a row at Montana. That's pretty impressive. Oh, by the way, she just ran 52.8 seconds in the 400 meters. So she has also been dynamite on the track. That 52.8 shatters a school record that stood for 14 years at UM. It also gets her into the top 20 in the West Regional. It looks like no matter what happens at the Big Sky Outdoor Championships next week, she's going to have an opportunity to move on after that. But either way, tremendous senior year for Lily Meskers. Treasure State star number 4, Taco Dowler. He's the Little Sullivan Award winner this year for the Montana AAU. We did 20 minutes yesterday about the controversy behind that. Here's the deal. I don't have any sort of if you're the winners, you're just a person that competed at your highest level and you did the best you could, and all of a sudden you get this award. So, great job, Taco Dowler. I'm talking to Taco tomorrow morning. We'll have that for you probably early next week here on the show. Great job by him. I also thought it was, I don't know how much we need to hash this out anymore, but like Jake Sanderson from Whitefish won a gold medal with the U.S. hockey team. I just feel like that should be the best amateur athlete in Montana. But either way, Taco Dowler wins it. And, how could you have a better year than him, catching the game-winning touchdown in the national championship game and now having a ton of momentum coming into your senior year? Treasure State star number 5, Hanaya Halverson. She was the women's winner of the Little Sullivan Award. Not nearly the discussion behind that one. She was a state championship wrestler at Kalispell Flathead, who then has been wrestling at Colorado Mesa for the last several years. She has been a trailblazer in the sport. Girls wrestling's only been around in Montana for about 4 years. She was one of the first gals to go to the collegiate ranks. She's been good at Colorado Mesa, and she set the example for a lot of young female wrestlers. Treasure State star number 6, Stevie Rocker. He's a former Grizz running back that's headed to the CFL. I think this is a good fit for him. I felt a little bad for him because he had a good pro day, but when they were posting the results on social media, all his results were accurate in terms of his bench, his vertical, his agility times, but the 40-yard dash was inaccurate. I'm not going to sit there and demean the kid, but the social media graphic they put out there said he ran 4.48. So then you're thinking like, oh my God, this guy's, he's 6 feet tall 214 pounds. He runs a 4.48, does 17 reps on the bench. This guy's going to the NFL. And the 40 was a little bit slower than that. But either way, he's going to the CFL, so that's a great deal. He's going to make money playing football. He's going to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL, so I think that's a good fit for him. Traverse City starter number 7, Kenzel Lawler. We talked about him last week when he had an opportunity with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now he's got another opportunity with the New York Jets. Another shot at rookie minicamp. I've said it many times over the last couple of weeks. These are tough roads to hoe. You're going in there with 75 to 80 rookies trying to make a team, trying to make the opportunity to make a team. You're trying to even just make an invite to OTAs or training camp. But a shot is better than no shot, and that's what Kenzel Lawler has. Traverse City starter number 8, Riley McGrath. Threw the shot put 63 feet. That's not a typo. That's the farthest shot put I can remember in my 20 years as a sports writer or radio broadcaster in the state of Montana. A high school record is 68 feet by Dennis Black, who was one of the prodigies that's ever happened in high school track in the state of Montana. That record has stood for 35 full years. I think it's totally unbreakable, but maybe not, because Riley McGrath's only a junior, and he's throwing at 63 feet. He's approaching the 20-meter mark, which is like borderline Olympic status, and he's only a junior at Bozeman Gallatin. Oh, by the way, he throws the disc about 195 feet as well. Leads AA and all class in both those events so far as a thrower. Traverse City starter number 9, not the last time we're going to talk about this young man, but William Hollensteiner. I'm not going to say he won it by himself, but he was the key factor in Kalispell Flathead, winning the AA state championship in track and field last year. Set the all-time state record in the 400 meters. Also almost broke the 300-meter hurdle record. Well, this year, he's already threatening in the 400. He's already threatening in the long jump. He's headed to Purdue. There's a reason he's a Big Ten athlete. He's a freak. The kid's an amazing competitor. He's one of the most fluid runners I've ever seen. He has a chance to be an all-time great. I mean, he already is. He holds multiple all-class records, but this guy is like top of the bin when it comes to track runners right now in the state of Montana, and he's really fun to watch. Traverse City Stars probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. We're up against it. We're already late, but we have free Taglieri Deli for you on the other side. Tag Tuesday, every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. We also got some feedback from the men behind the glass. That's next. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Taco Dowler and Hannah Halverson are the Little Sullivan Award winners in Montana. I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana AAU chapter gives out its Little Sullivan Awards annually, honoring the best amateur athletes in the state. On Saturday, Dowler, a senior wide receiver from Montana State who grew up in Billings, and Halverson, a wrestler at Colorado Mesa from Kalispell, joined the prestigious list of winners. Former Little Sullivan Award winners include future NBA players like Josh Eustace and Larry Kostoviak, and future NFL players like Croy Bierman and Troy Anderson on the men's side, along with famed women like Shannon Kate, Mandy Morales, and Jocelyn Tinkle. Dowler was a second-team All-Big Sky pick last season and saved his best for MSU's season finale in the national title game. Dowler caught 8 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for a 25-yard score. His touchdown catch in overtime helped clinch a 35-34 win over Illinois State to give MSU its first football national title in 41 years. Dowler earned the award over Montana State rodeo cowboy Cole Denton of Great Falls, Olympic skier Connor Ralph of Helena, and Olympic gold medalist Jake Sanderson, a hockey player from Whitefish. Halverson was a prep state champion at Flathead, and this past season was honored as an NCAA Women's Scholar All-American for the 4th straight year.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Missoula Broadcasting Company, locally owned, just like Grizzly Disposal. Grizzly Disposal now has one bin recycling for you. They can pick up your cans, your cardboard, your plastics twice a month. You want to add the service or make the switch or both. 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. Missing the show, it was a little bit of a interesting start. We had a little bit of a glitch. It wasn't even our fault. I won't even bore you with the details, but here we go, there we go. And then we got to talk to Sam Herder for about 40 minutes straight because we had to write it out for the first 2 segments. But Sam Herder, Hero Sports, and I talked all about the conundrum that is FCS players going to the NFL. We also talked about Mark Gronowski's situation after he transferred from South Dakota State to Iowa. Was it worth it? Financially, yes. Draft stock, who knows? We also talked about just sort of the future of the FCS now that NDSU is no longer in the subdivision. We also had our latest Treasure State Stars, highlighting some of the best individual performances from around the state of Montana. And that was all we had time for. But a fun first hour. Find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. So here's where giveaways collide. I want you to keep telling us what you want us to talk about. What that is going to enter you in for is Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean tickets. Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean, couple country music superstars. They're playing at Washington Grizzly Stadium on August 1st. It's going to be besides Post Malone, it's one of the highest tickets in town. So if you want a chance to win tickets, all you got to do is tell us subject matters. What do you want us to talk about? Questions you have, anything, prompts, all that stuff. Just tell us you want to go to the concert. Also, though, it's a Tuesday. That means it's a Tag Tuesday. Taglieri Deli, 2 locations in Missoula, actually 1 in Spokane now, too. When I was on my golf trip a couple weeks ago, we were driving. It was right literally on the way to where we were going. I was like, hey, let's just go get some sandwiches from Tag. Saved us because we got a couple sandwiches and we were able to take them on the golf course for the next couple of days. Taglieri Deli has the most consistent, delicious sandwiches you're going to find anywhere in the state of Montana. Check them out on the corner of Beckwith and Higgins, but also in the Sawmill District on Wyoming. Call in ahead of time. Get your order online or give them a call. Either way, and they'll have it right there in the cooler for you with your name on the paper bag. You pay online, boom, you just go pick it up. Great way to get lunch, great way to get dinner. But also, the $25 gift card we're going to give you is going to give you an opportunity to get any of this stuff they have in their awesome market as well. They have old world wine, olive oil, pasta sauces, pastas, all that sort of stuff. You want Taglieri Deli, text us 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us right now. All right, we're going to renew a fun game. It's called Behind the Glass. If you're watching us here on TV or on the streaming, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, you see me right here in the ESPN empty Grizzly Disposal studio. But right here, there's a whole bunch of glass. And the producers, they sit on the other side of the glass. So both Hayden Smith and Jeff Safford, you hear from them at least once a week for their specialties. And we will have a Stanley Cup playoffs segment coming up for you on Thursday. But also, now that we're here in the spring, summertime months, I want to get these guys involved in the conversation. So, Behind the Glass is an easy game. Basically, they prepare questions for me. I prepare questions for them. On the outline, just purely based on alphabetical order, I had Jeff going first. So, Jeff can grab the mic, and he's going to ask a question that will stimulate some discussion, and we'll just discuss. That's how we're going to do it here in these fun, little slower time months here. Safford, what do you got for me?
Well, something that's in the hockey realm, but has nothing to do with anything on the ice. I guess this is a perfect one because it's what you see behind the glass of a hockey rink, or specifically one in Carolina. It's gone viral from the beginning of the Carolina Hurricanes and Philadelphia Flyers series. A way that fans have been able to enjoy a bevy or two. They've got Carolina Hurricane beer skates. Have you seen these, Coulter?
I've seen these passed up on the scrolling for sure.
And so think about it from a Montana perspective. Is there a beer, I guess you would call it way to carry it, a receptacle. A receptacle, Hayden says, that would fit for any team in Montana, a la the beer skate for the Hurricanes.
Oh man, okay. So hash this out to me a little bit more. So the beer skate, it's like a mug that is a skate, and they put beers into it, right? Okay, so, wow, you could do a lot of different things in Montana. You can't do a cow. Like, what's a more functional? Because you can make a beer mug that you can make a skate that looks like a mug, and a mug that looks like a skate. A hat is not as good. I mean, the honest answer would be a flask, but that's not for beer. that's for something else. What else could you use in terms of the beer transport, the thing that you're going to drink it out of? Man, because Montana's not that big of a baseball state. See, I mean, we love our baseball, but maybe not the same thing. What if you had a cup that's like shaped like a basketball? I've always thought this. Montana's become a football state because of the premier nature of the two college football teams in Montana. Like the teams that get to play on ESPN1 are the Grizz and the Bobcat football teams. Like those are the teams that are playing deep into December and even last couple of years in January. And as Justin Engel always says here on this show, Justin Engel, University of Montana business professor who's a master of marketing, he always says that one of the things that drives that forward is that the branding is so on point. Like when people turn on playoff football games in Missoula and Bozeman, there's like nothing surprising about it, right? It's a raucous crowd full of a bunch of people that are clad in their snow suits, and there's snow everywhere. And like at Montana State, there's the horses, and in Missoula, there's the beautiful mountains, and like it's just so on brand. But that's actually a departure from what Montana was for most of the 20th century, and that's maybe a basketball state, just because. As Robin Selvig, the longtime legendary coach of Lady Grizz, once told me, what does every town in Montana have? Well, to be a township, you have to have a post office. You don't have to have a bar, but you likely have to have some sort of a school. And at the school, what do you probably have? A basketball hoop. So that's why you have all these various different Class C towns that have a couple things. Post office, corner store, maybe a bar, and a school that probably has a basketball hoop. So maybe it's like a pint glass or like a receptacle that's made into a basketball hoop. I don't know though. I don't know. I got to think about that one. That's a good one, Safford. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Okay, Hayden Smith, your turn. Behind the glass here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. What do you got, Hayden?
Yeah, I'm going to mix it up here. I'm going to go a little NBA.
Love it.
And my question really is, do you think the way that OKC plays basketball is good for the NBA?
Wow. This is an unbelievable question. Because we've been kicking the can down the road on the NBA a little bit. First of all, if you listen to this show, you know that I love the NBA. And I'm also only one man, so I can only watch a certain amount of things and analyze a certain amount of things. Several of my best friends, who also happen to be some of my best sports conversationalists, love the NBA. So we talk about the NBA a lot. That said, our ace in the hole on the NBA for a long time was Andrew Houghton, because Andrew's favorite sport, when he was the producer of this show, he loves soccer. He's a big soccer guy. But like when he's sitting down just on a weeknight or a weekend night to have a beer and watch some sports, it's the NBA. So he and we used to have some pretty deep NBA discussions. We have certainly kept you up to date with what's going on with the NBA. Last night was a fun night in the NBA because I know that the Knicks won by 40, so you can't say that's a good game, but it is a fun game when you see the Knicks score 137 points at Madison Square Garden with all the celebrities sitting courtside, and they run the 76ers straight out of the gym. Like, again, I'm not trying to vouch and say that was like a very competitive game, but it was cinema. Like, the run the Knicks went on at the end of the second quarter into the beginning of the third quarter, you're sitting there thinking, oh, man, New York's a contender. Like, I knew the Knicks were good. They're great at home for sure. And then the second game in the NBA, I pulled a little sneaky here. I did not tout this because I was not that confident in it, but I had a little gut feeling. A lot of times when I'm confident, I tell you what my bets are going to be in a given NBA night. I really like the San Antonio Spurs. I think they have one of the best stories that's going on in the NBA. I think that Victor Wembanyama is a transcendent talent. And last night he was great defensively. He was not that great offensively. But I had this inkling that Minnesota was going to go steal game one. Now, I'm not trying to proclaim that the Timberwolves are going to win that series, but I thought they were going to steal game one. And so I sprinkled. And here's the deal. Sometimes when I get these little gut feelings, I don't tell you guys about them because I'm confident but not that confident in it. And I don't want to lead you astray. So I was only about 50% confident in that bet, but I bet about half a unit on the T-Wolves money line, and I bet another half a unit on T-Wolves money line and the under. Ba-bam, cha-ching. We hit both of them, and fun deal. Back to Hayden's question, though. I seriously think this is one of the most interesting questions that exists in pro sports right now. If you remove all of the bias and all of the projection and all of the exterior things that have nothing to do with competition from the NBA, and you analyze it purely objectively through the purity of basketball execution, the sophistication of the game, and the skill level that exists amongst the players, the NBA is unquestionably two things. One, at the absolute highest level of skill and sophistication that it's ever been, and two, I would argue, besides the PGA and golf and maybe hockey, the most skilled and unbelievably high-level sport that there is. The NFL is crazy. The NFL, you could die at any given time. So, like, the sacrifice that is, the blood sport that is, the week in and week out grind that it is, I'm not taking anything away from that. College football is tremendous as well. But, like, I just think that the hardest sport it is to be a pro in the world is the PGA, because there's only 120 guys on the PGA Tour, and only 100 guys get to go to a tournament. But in the NBA, there's only 300 guys in the entire world that get to do it, and basketball is a way more global game. Basketball, the only game that's superior to basketball is soccer in terms of, like, the availability of it to all these various different countries around the world. If you have two goalposts and a soccer ball, you can play. If you got a basket and a ball, you can play. So you got guys from all over the world. So it is one of the most elite tickets to ride. That's all to say, again, if you're objectively analyzing this, the NBA has never been at a higher level of skill, talent, competitiveness, all of that. The NBA is not even close to as popular as it was in the late 80s and early 1990s. And I think about why. I think part of it, I think one part of it is actually pretty simple, and it's a pop culture like explanation. Sneakers, the existence of, the promotion of, and then the phenomenon of sneakers, basketball shoes, was one of the most transcendent moments in pop culture and marketing that's ever happened in America. When Nike first became a thing and then became a monster and then became the monster of, like, almost every brand in the world, that coincided with the rise of Michael Jordan. But then, Reebok, Adidas, everybody else combating that, and like how much NBA superstars had an influence on people of all age demographics buying sneakers, and like how much that played into then if you read about or watch the documentaries about the Dream Team in 1992, these guys were as famous as you can be. They were the Beatles. When they were playing in Barcelona, they were getting mobbed like they were Paul McCartney and John Lennon. When it's Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, et cetera, et cetera. That fervor has dissipated because of the various different influences that play into our consciousness, our ability to be marketed to. I also think being a sneakerhead has at the same time become diversified, but also become just not nearly as popular. That's all to say that I also think that one of the biggest reasons that the NBA is not as popular as it once was is because the Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA, and that is such a hard thing for the common fan to accept. The reason it's a hard thing for the common fan to accept, well, there's several reasons. One, Oklahoma City is a top 5 smallest market in all of pro sports. Oklahoma City does not even have 1 million people. That's hard for people to accept. Number 2, Oklahoma City, depending on who you believe, stole their franchise. OKC got a taste of the NBA when Hurricane Katrina happened, and the New Orleans Hornets moved to OKC. That was sort of the proof of concept, but that then paved the way for one of the most beloved franchises in NBA history, the Seattle Supersonics, basically getting stolen from Seattle. That's also hard for people to palate. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that people that are NBA purists that watch the games, if I was to say that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has established himself as a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, I think the purists would be like, amen, brother, you got it. And I think the haters would say, what are you possibly talking about? How could SGA possibly be in the conversation with Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade and Jerry West and Larry Bird and Elgin Baylor? Well, just look at the numbers, man. Like, the shooting splits are absurd. The efficiency is absurd. But I think it all couples into the fact that this is a product of your environment. People can't handle the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander narrative because he wasn't drafted by Oklahoma City. He was drafted by the Clippers. He was a fringe player until he got traded to OKC, and then he started working his way up. And then you wrap around all the way to what Hayden asked, actually, and that is the way that Oklahoma City plays controversial, detrimental to the NBA. That's the other interesting part of this is the NBA was nothing in the 60s and the 70s besides the Celtics. It was Celtics versus everybody. The only people that got any headlines was Bill Russell, Red Auerbach, John Havlicek, the Celtics. Then you get to the merger, and you have the ABA, NBA, and then you have all the off the court stuff with drug use and all this crazy stuff that was going on. And then you have the saviors, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Julius Erving to a certain extent. And you have this first wave of the NBA. Oklahoma City is the Detroit Pistons of the late 1980s 2.0. The Pistons had their Jordan rules. They had their bad boy defense. They had their defensive head coach in Chuck Daly. They were throwing people all over the ground. They were intimidating everybody. And I think a lot of people hated it, but they loved it, and they embraced being the villains. That's the one missing piece for Oklahoma City. They grab. They are up in you. Like, they play defense at a different... The schematics are brilliant and sophisticated. The physicality, maybe you say, is dirty and in your face. They don't embrace being villains, though, like the Pistons did. I think, personally, that one of the number one things that's missing in pro sports is people that embrace being the villain. I think if OKC embraced being the villain, they would actually ironically be more popular. But it's a great question because I do think that it's influenced the way that teams in the NBA play. But here's the fact of the matter. Oklahoma City is so unbelievably good on both sides of the basketball that I feel like everybody just needs to settle in and appreciate it. You can think whatever you want about SGA and the fact that he didn't start his career there. He wasn't drafted there. You can think whatever you want about the other, Chet Holmgren was drafted there. Jalen Williams was drafted there. So you got to give those guys the credit. You can think whatever you want about the small market nature of the deal. I never seen point spreads like this. They are 15 to 19 point favorites every single night. This is the playoffs. The Lakers won 54 games this year. I know the Lakers are up and down, but they still got LeBron James and Austin Reeves and all these different things. They're the 4 seed. Oklahoma City's a 16.5 point favorite tonight. That's crazy. I think that Oklahoma City could be good for the NBA, but it's a great question by Hayden because I think that right now they're bad for the NBA because of all those things that I just stated. I think people are having a hard time accepting that they are the team that's sort of leading the charge in NBA circles. Nuanez Now 129 ESPN Radio. I told those guys to get 2 questions each prepared, and we only got to 1 each. You know what that means? Content for later on this week and later on maybe next week as well. Take a break, come back, talk some football. Dax Yeager, Shoto, Montana. He's a Montana State football commit. He's our guest on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 129 ESPN Radio.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Taco Dowler and Hannah Halverson are the Little Sullivan Award winners in Montana. I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana AAU chapter gives out its Little Sullivan Awards annually, honoring the best amateur athletes in the state. On Saturday, Dowler, a senior wide receiver from Montana State who grew up in Billings, and Halverson, a wrestler at Colorado Mesa from Kalispell, joined the prestigious list of winners. Former Little Sullivan Award winners include future NBA players like Josh Hustis and Larry Kostoviak, and future NFL players like Croy Bierman and Troy Anderson on the men's side, along with famed women like Shannon Kate, Mandy Morales, and Jocelyn Tinkle. Dowler was a second-team All-Big Sky pick last season and saved his best for MSU's season finale in the national title game. Dowler caught 8 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for a 25-yard score. His touchdown catch in overtime helped clinch a 35-34 win over Illinois State to give MSU its first football national title in 41 years. Dowler earned the award over Montana State rodeo cowboy Cole Denton of Great Falls, Olympic skier Connor Ralph of Helena, and Olympic gold medalist Jake Sanderson, a hockey player from Whitefish. Halverson was a prep state champion at Flathead, and this past season was honored as an NCAA Women's Scholar All-American for the 4th straight year.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
It's amazing how things transform in retrospect, right? Like Fleetwood Mac was, no question, the biggest band in the world. 1977, when Rumors, the album, came out, right? And then when Tango in the Night came out, I mean, they had Tusk, which was such an iconic album as well. But then when Tango, they had a couple of more albums, and then Tango in the Night, 1987, came out. A lot of people hated on that album in that moment, and I oftentimes think, was that just overexposure? Was that just too much fame? That album is amazing. You love the songs from that album. I know you do. Several of them for sure, including that one. Well, it's now tonight ESPN Radio, hanging out here on Cinco de Mayo. Happy Margarita Day, everybody. Hopefully you're on your way to enjoy one or enjoying one already. Appreciate you for hanging out with us here on this Tuesday. I have been trying to catch up with all the in-state football commits from across the Treasure State. The Grizz have 7 of them. The Cats have 3 of them. So I've been recording with these guys, and then we're basically going to play them. I know that a lot of you listeners out there, you want equity, right? You want this and that. So we're going to play Dax Yeager from Choteau, Montana today. We're going to play Jack Ryan from Billings West tomorrow. I'm also trying to catch up with Braden Zickman. He and I had a scheduled recording this morning, but then he had a test that he had to get to, so we're going to do that on Thursday. And we're just going to get to as many of these recruits as we possibly can, including this young man from a Class B school who's headed to Montana State. Recruiting coverage continues. Checking in now up on the Highline, Choteau, Montana. Dax Yeager joining us, one of the recent commitments to the Montana State Bobcats. Dax, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. First of all, you got to tell us about this recruiting cycle. How's it been going for you? Because I know that there's been a lot of hype right now coming out of Montana. A whole bunch of guys that have committed pretty early here, in the spring of your junior year, kind of going into your senior year. So when did the Cats first land on your radar? And just take us through sort of these last couple of months for you from a recruiting perspective.
Well, the Cats kind of came on my radar. Well, not even really that. They've always been. I've grown up a Bobcat fan, watching Bobcat football all my life, so it's kind of always been a goal to play there. And they just started recruiting me last spring when Coach Vegan came to my school to talk to me. And I stayed in touch throughout the summer. Then during the football season, I came out to a couple game day visits. And after that was over, junior days. And then on my last junior day there is when I finally decided to commit.
Well, was it it seems like just knowing that you loved them your whole life, was it an easy decision?
It was not really an easy decision, no. I had some really good opportunities that were handed to me, so I definitely thought about it for sure. But in the end, I feel like I knew I was always going to choose Bozeman.
Well, it's awesome. So tell me about the things that stood out. Like, what were the things that put Montana State over the top and helped you make the decision?
I mean, Coach Vegan and his staff, they're awesome. They've always made me feel wanted there, and they always made sure I knew that. They put in so much effort into, like, recruiting me, and it just felt like too much to turn down.
What sort of things did they sell you on the program, and maybe the way that you might fit in?
I mean, they really preached to me about my athleticism and position versatility. And then, like, me being able to, like, play in multiple different places. And they had a few pretty good plans for me. So, like, they weren't just recruiting me. Like, they had, like, a plan for me, what they want me to do there. So it seemed really persuasive, and that's why I chose them.
Well, you're 6'5", 235, is that about what you are right now?
Yeah. I'm about 240 now, too. I've been...
Nice. Heck yeah. So where do you see yourself at? Like, do you think you have an ideal position at the college level?
I mean, I feel like either tight end or D-line would probably be my best fit for any program. I feel like that's where I'd provide the team the most help.
Well, super awesome. Just in terms of the outside of the football part, what else did you like about Montana State? Do you have any idea about school and stuff like that yet?
Yeah, I don't really know what I want to major in yet, but we did like academic talks on the junior days and stuff, and they all seem super dedicated to like helping the football players pass their classes and get their degree. And like they really emphasize the student and student athlete. So it also, and I want to go to college to get a degree too, and not just play football. So it all seemed really perfect to me.
Well, yeah, it's cool the way they do it with the academics. So did you get to take a tour of the campus with the academic people and stuff like that too?
Yeah, we got a tour of the campus too, and everything was like super nice. And like the bridges in the back made it so much cooler.
Yeah, that's it's an awesome setting for sure. And the campus has grown. It's an awesome awesome scene they got going on there in Bozeman. Jack Jaeger joining us here on Nuanez Now May ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He's a junior at Shoto High School and a recent commitment to the Montana State Bobcat football program. How about just your experience at Shoto? What sort of things have you learned that sort of help set the table for this? And I mean, cool for a guy from Class B to get this opportunity so early on here in your high school career.
I mean, being in Shoto's kind of taught me, like, you don't need to be, like, going to a school, like, AA size to, like, get your recognition. If you're good enough, they'll find you. And it's also kind of taught me to just work harder to get there because the competition's not going to be as good, obviously. So, like, just that extra hard work to be able to compete with those higher-level guys is kind of what Shoto's taught me.
You played multiple sports up there?
Yeah, I play basketball and track as well.
Nice. So how much do you think that helps you just in terms of your overall, athleticism and stuff?
I mean, being a multi-sport athlete definitely helps because you learn different things in other sports and like how to move your feet and like how to use your leverage and just all of that definitely plays into football for sure. And it's really helped me.
There's another Jaeger up there at Shoto. Are you guys related?
Crazy coincidence. We're actually not. We're same last name. We're both 6'5", not related.
Yeah, it's interesting because I saw that Rush was getting recruited a little bit by both Montana and Montana State, and then I was like, well, I wonder if these guys are twins. And then I saw pictures of you guys. I'm like, those guys aren't twins because you got probably about 50 pounds on Rush at this point.
Oh yeah, I've got a little bit of weight on.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I was like, how do you got twins where one guy's a defensive lineman and one guy's a wide receiver, but not so much, huh?
Oh yeah, no, he's got a lot longer hair too. Yeah, he's got way more hair than I do.
I saw him at the spring game on Saturday at Montana State, and you could tell. You could notice the hair from a ways away.
For sure.
You guys both, though, you could tell your athleticism from basketball, too, right? I mean, you could tell that you guys definitely move well and stuff like that. So, how much do you love basketball? Has basketball always been a huge part of your athletic life, too?
I mean, yeah, I've played travel basketball ever since I was a 7th grader until about last summer. So it's always been a huge part, and I've always been pretty invested in it until I learned I really wanted to do football. So
What helped you turn the corner with football? Like, what was the moment where you said, okay, this is what I think I want to pursue in the future?
I think after my freshman year, I had a pretty solid season, and I got some pretty good recognition, and that's when I realized that football was the sport I wanted to play when I got to college.
Jack Shager joining us here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. In terms of the transition, maybe from small school to Montana State, how are you sort of mentally preparing yourself for the jump that it might be?
I mean, I've talked to some guys at Montana State who have also played like 6-man and 8-man football, because Bozeman really likes taking those smaller town guys too. And they've kind of said, like, in the end, it is football, but a big part of it is the playbook and like learning, because there's a whole bunch of more concepts, because there's like 5-6 more people on the field at the same time. So it's just a lot to learn. But they said once they got through that, it was pretty good.
That must have been appealing to you as well, just the fact that there has been a lot of small school guys that have come through, especially since Coach Vegan took over. He's done a great job of recruiting small town Montana. So was that part appealing to you as well?
Yeah, that was really appealing too. And like watching how some of those guys like develop into monsters, it really helped persuade me too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's such a huge upside for guys that come from small towns, right? Because you do spend so much time playing multiple sports and things like that. What do you think of just about representing for the town of Shoto? It's been a little bit since there's been a Shoto guy. It's come to either Montana or Montana State. So what do you think of just that opportunity to sort of represent for your hometown?
I mean, that feels pretty good to me. Like, not very many people in Shoto get to like experience this or like go through this process. So it kind of feels good being one of the very few that get to do that.
What's the reaction been around town? Have you been hearing from people excited for you and your future?
Like the first couple of days after I committed, I'd like walk into the grocery store and get a Gatorade or something, and I have like 3-4 people tell me congratulations and come up and shake my hand. It's been awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I've loved the support I got from my community.
Well, that's awesome. That's super cool, and one of the fun parts about small town Montana for sure.
For sure.
How about just this upcoming stretch for you then? Are you going to go to some camps this summer?
I think I'll probably go to some camps this summer, and then I have my official visit in Bozeman late June too, so I'll do that too.
Nice. Okay. And then headed into next year, what are some of your goals, just both individually but also as a team for Shoto next fall?
As a team, next year, Shoto's going to be real good. We're hoping to get that state championship. We're going to be pretty legit. And as like an individual, I hope to like, in Shoto, I've mainly been utilized on offense. But this year, I really want to change that to defense so I can get that jump start going into my college career so I can hopefully get playing a little earlier.
Do you feel like having the college decision out of the way helps sort of clear your mind to pursue those goals?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Because I know going into next season, I'm not going to be worried about like getting offers or like going on recruiting trips and stuff like that. I know where I'm going and I know there's a plan for me. So it just makes everything a whole lot stress-free.
What has you most excited about this upcoming opportunity?
Ooh, that's tough. I think being in Bozeman, like their football team is like a big brotherhood, and I heard you make like a bunch of new friends there, not just a couple. Like you're friends with like almost the whole team. I'm really looking forward to that. Just making new friends and making good life. What's the word?
Was it crazy for you when you actually committed? Like, what was the moment like when you actually called the coaches and said, "Hey, I'm coming"?
So I committed after the junior day, and going into that junior day, I'm going to be honest, I had no plan on committing, but like going through like the day and talking to the coaches and like seeing how much they like valued me there. It's like going through the day at the end, I knew that's where I wanted to be. So we were all talking to Coach Vegan at the end, telling him like, thank you. And I was the last one. And he was just kind of like, whenever you're ready to pull the trigger, pull it. No pressure, no rush, just let us know. I looked at my dad, and he was just kind of like, it's your decision. So that's when I did it. And I told him I'm ready to commit to be a Bobcat. So
that's awesome. So it's cool you got to share that moment with your dad. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Are your folks excited for you?
Oh, yeah, they're super excited. They've always told me, like, go to college where I want to go, not where, like, everyone else wants you to go. Like, make the decision that's right for you. But I always think deep down they wanted me to be a Bobcat. So that felt extra great being able to do that for them.
Well, it's awesome, man. Well, congratulations on your decision and on your commitment and all your success so far. And thanks so much for hanging out with us here today.
Yeah, thanks for the interview.
Dax Yeager here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Future Bobcat. We'll have plenty of interviews with all the future Bobcats and Grizzlies here over the next couple of weeks. Appreciate Dax for joining us. We'll take a break, come back on the other side. More Nuanez Now coming your way. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Well, thank you. Here I am, 39 years old. Last birthday I'll ever celebrate. No, that's not true. As I said at the beginning of the show, I actually love birthdays. Not because of the glorification of self, but because of the passage of time. Like, I think it's crazy that people don't want to get older. Because guess what the alternative is? It ain't as good, I promise you that. So great to be alive, great to be having a birthday on Cinco de Mayo, and great to be here with you. It's Nuanez Now tonight, ESPN Radio. You missed anything in the show, fun show. We talked all things FCS when it comes to the NFL draft and some of the other storylines that exist in the football championship subdivision. with Sam Herder, Hero Sports. We also gave you our latest Treasure State Stars, highlighting some of the best individual performances from around the state of Montana. We talked a little behind the glass with Jeff Safford and Hayden Smith, asking me some questions, and it got into a pretty in-depth conversation about the NBA. We also heard from Dax Yeager, who is a Shoto, Montana senior-to-be and a future Montana State Bobcat. All of it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. Appreciate you for tuning in no matter how you're tuning in. One more chance, 406-888-1029. You want Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan tickets? August 1st, Washington Grizzly Stadium. Text 406-888-1029. We got a pair of tickets for you. All you got to do is let us know what you want us to talk about. 406-888-1029. NBA tonight features the beginning of the other two second-round series. Cleveland at Detroit. Detroit just 3-point favorites after they slugged it out with Orlando, and also Oklahoma City 15-point favorites against the Lakers. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Samuel Kim, Matt Brown, Extra Points newsletter, and more.